So we'll start the session. Okay. So today's agenda, today we'll be talking about compute, and tomorrow also we'll have some continuation in on the AWS compute section. Okay. So now from now onwards, right, it will be less of slides because it will be more of whiteboarding, and it will more on hands-on. So be connected with me. So what a quick recap that we did is why business adopts cloud. So we just saw the business events for cloud adoption. Then what we do with cloud adoption, migration, and innovation. Then we just had a quick overview on the cloud rationalization, that 5 hours, that is rehost, rebuild, replace, and so on. Then we had a quick introduction to AWS. We saw AWS certification overview. We checked on why AWS is how global reach is in global infrastructure. Then we talked about AWS regions and availability zones, content delivery network overview, and AWS CloudFront and edge location overview. We just had a on the portal console. We just have a quick glance on AWS services. So these are the components. Most as I told you, there are 200 fully 200 services that AWS provides. So as we are as this class is of all of the graduate. Please mute yourself. Most of the persons are freshers over here, so we'll talk about compute, storage, database on a high level, so that it doesn't confuse you. So when you talk about compute services, right, the main service is called EC2, Elastic Cloud Compute. So when you talk, what it does, it hosts your VMs, virtual machines. Okay. So for Azure, if you go for Azure, they say virtual machines. But when we talk about EC2, when you talk about AWS, we say EC2 instances. So whenever I say instances, is nothing but a virtual machine. Okay, so we'll be sticking to that term, instances. Then we'll have a high level of auto scaling. What is auto scaling in EC2? We'll talk about a little bit of elastic load balancer, container services, Lambda, and elastic beanstalk. But today's focus will be how we'll be creating a VM in an AWS environment and using EC2. Okay. So what is elastic cloud compute? EC2. Why it is EC2? Because we have two C's over here. So EC2, Amazon EC2 is a web service that provides a resizable compute capacity in the cloud. It allows organizations to obtain and configure virtual servers in Amazon data center. And the benefits are it is scalable. So when we say elastic, we talk about horizontal scaling, and it is scalable. And then flexible cloud hosting services, AWS integration with many other services, low cost and reliable and secure. So just to so my screen is visible to everybody, right?
Yes, sir, it's visible, sir.
Yeah, I'll just
Yes.
I'll just take the Notion part if I can put it. So here, and in my first lecture, we talked about what is compute, what is storage. We talked about when if we have a laptop, so what are the key specs that we have to look for? That is processor, RAM, storage. So when you say HDD, this is we talk about storage in our AWS platform. When you talk about RAM, we say memory, and any server environment, right? Any server environment will require compute, memory, and storage. Okay, and then we will have an OS to because if it can be a Linux server, it can be a Windows server or any other server and then on top of that we have application hosted on it. Okay. So when you talk about EC2, right, Amazon Elastic Cloud Compute. Okay, so what is it is used to host or install a virtual machine in AWS cloud. Okay. The primary function is what, to host or install, to launch or to host a virtual machine in AWS cloud. So what type of machines it can be? It can have many types of instances, but primarily it will see Windows VM, Linux VM, and now it supports Macintosh also, Macintosh VMs. So there may be many sub VMs related to Linux. There may be many sub VMs related to Windows. It can be there are Debian OS is there, Solaris OS is there. There are many more OS that EC2 instance will be supported. So normally in a physical server environment, right? As we what will be a physical server what components that physical server will have? It will require a network. It will require a storage. It will require CPU, the processing power. It will require memory. We say RAM. Okay, then access, security access to it over the internet through routers and through firewalls and other things, and it will require an OS environment. Okay, so it will require an OS environment. So when we say network in AWS, we will find a term called VPC, Virtual Private Cloud. Okay, and then when we talk about storage, we will have volumes. Okay, we'll talk about volume storage. So it can be, when you say volumes, it will be EBS, and there is one more NFS. Just a second. So the screen is visible, right?
Yes, sir.
So when you saw here, there is one more type of volume called as NFS, network file system, used use for Linux and Unix environment. Okay, for in AWS platform, it is called as Elastic File System. It's called EFS. So we'll have EBS, EFS, and we have an objects. So these both, one is your block storage. This will be block storage. As normally in your hard disk in your laptop, right? How it stores in your hard drive, it stores the data into blocks. Okay, it will have files. This is a file system, so it will be file storage. And there is one more called as object. Any object that can be stored, similar to your Google Drive or similar to your OneDrive, Microsoft OneDrive, and so on. So that is for in AWS environment, it is known as simple storage. That is known as S3, simple storage service. Okay. So then we have CPUs, right? Because whatever are talking in here, it is not a physical component, right? We are talking about a virtual component. So as in VMware or any other Microsoft Hyper-V, so any VM will have an vdisk, okay, uh, uh, then memory and storage will be there. So it will be vCPUs. You will have vCPUs over here. Then virtual memory will be there, and then considering the access to the system in AWS, will there is a firewall for the instance level. For instance level, like for the VM level, there is uh, a, term a component acts as a firewall for that instance is called a security group. Okay, then we'll have a key pairs. Like if you see any in any, like nowadays, right, we don't use HTTP. Yeah, normally we use HTTP. Any website you go, it is HTTPS. Okay, so how it will have a certificate. Okay, certificate, SSL certificate and other things will be there. So whenever you are accessing any public environment, right? So uh, there will be two pairs that needs to be taken care of. That is, one is public key and one is private key. Okay, so this will be held by AWS. This key will be holded by AWS. It will be public in nature, and this you will be holding it, or the customer. Okay. So, and then for the OS level, we have, we have images. So images of a complete, fully functional operating system will be there. So in AWS term, we called as Amazon machine image. Okay. Am I clear until now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So now we talk about what is Amazon machine image. Okay. So just so if you see over here, I have it is Amazon machine image, and there are two types of machine image that can be available in AWS. One is instance store, and one is they are backed by instance store, like instance store backed up, and elastic storage, elastic block storage, EBS backed up. Okay, so what now, any OS, right, or because it's an image, okay, it has to be stored in some, like in my laptop. Okay, the OS is stored on my hard drive. Okay, and when it boots, a particular record, like master boot record, is been checked, and it boots up, and it identifies which OS is, what is the hardware in your laptop, and what OS is installed, and based on that it boots up. Okay. Similarly, this root MBRs has to be stored somewhere, right? So that the machine being launched, the VM being launched, will know where it is located at. Okay, and based on it, it will boot up. Okay. So for instance store, the root device, it stores the template in your Amazon S3. Okay, and for EBS, like a block storage, okay, it creates a separate volumes, EBS volumes, where an instance looks up for that volumes to boot up. Okay, so what's the difference? What is the difference between this? Uh, if you store, and if you run or launch an VM based on instance store, what will it happen? As soon as it is running, you will have no problems. Okay, but as soon as you terminate or shut down the instance, your data on that instance will be lost. So it is not a, it is the data in that is not permanent, persistent in nature. Okay, that template will be deleted, and that data on that particular volume will be lost. So it's a, once instance is terminated, data is lost. Okay, similarly in EBS is other way around. It's a persistent in nature. Okay, your data stays. Okay, if you want to keep the volume, even if the instance is terminated or shut down, you will still, the volume, you will see your data still stays on the volume, because the volume stays back. So volume stays even instance is terminated. Okay, so how many, the template size that it can support is 10 GB, and over here the volume size it can support is about 16 TB. Okay, so the volume size over is 10 GB, and here is about 16 TB. So when you as I told you, AMI can be Windows, Fedora, Debian, Linux, CentOS, Macintosh, many. But in Linux environment, right? You will find two variants of AMIs. One is paravirtual PV, and one is hardware virtual machine. So I'll just explain in my slides later on. Am I clear until now? So many earlier, earlier we used to have magnetic drives like spindle drives, called when we say HDD, it is hard disk drive. So they were magnetic in nature. Okay, and for fast read and write operations, it was difficult to do that, because of the magnet, because of the structure, and as it was magnetic in nature. Okay, so companies, when we say storage devices and other things, so they came with fast IOPS, like input output per second, to achieve more. Lots of applications require lots of input output per second, like known as IOPS. Okay, so your solid state drives, now even in laptops, if you can see, you have solid state drives, you have MMCs, and non-volatile memory drives are available in your laptops also nowadays. Okay, similarly, you're in AWS, this thing, both the things are yeah, the physical infrastructure is backed up with magnetic drives also, and it can support up to solid state drives also. Okay, so transaction work, and where you can use HDD for streaming workloads. Okay, and where you can use your solid state drive is transaction workload, similar to your web application accessing to your database, and so on. So there will be transaction workloads will be. I'll just come on the snapshot part a bit later. So what are the types of volumes, what are the types of volumes that are available with AWS? Okay, so one is general purpose SSD. Okay, it can, that is GP2. Okay, general purpose SSD, GP2. It can support up to 16,000 IOPS. We have provision IOPS SSD, that known as IO01. Okay, it can support up to more than 16,000 IOPS. Okay, and when you say throughput optimized SDD storage one, ST1, it can be used to frequent access data plus throughput. So you can have your throughput can be optimized. Okay, but when you talk about IOPS, then go for SSD. When you talk about throughput, you go for optimized SSD. Then we have cold HDD, less frequently access workloads, and this magnetic and standard, so lowest cost and less frequently used for portable workload. So what are the benefits of volumes? It will give you data availability, data persistence. EBS will give you data persistence, data encryption at rest. So whatever you store on that particular volume, either you can encrypt it or it can be encrypted automatically. Then we talk about snapshots and flexibility. When we talk about snapshots, right? What is snapshot? Okay. So any particular suppose I create an EBS volume. I will just so if I create an if I create an VM, okay, and then with this VM I have an volume called you can say EBS. Just a second, okay. Now this I need now it is this VM is attached to this volume, right? Whenever it runs, it is attached to this volume, and I am all that whatever transactions or whatever data being getting processed is saved over here. Now any point of time I may have I may have to back this up, right? Because if I need to save my data, I have to back up this. So to back up this, we use snapshots. So we can create snapshot of multiple volumes. Okay. And what is snapshot? It's a data backup EBS volume on S3. So where it is stored? It is stored in S3. So it's an incremental. It's a copy of your volume that is stored in your storage device S3. Okay. And then it can be used for incremental backup only for changed blocks. Whatever changes are there, that can be only saved. Okay. The cost of this differs on gigabyte per month. Okay. And cost also varies, what duration you are keeping the data, and what is the size of the data volume or of the volume. Okay. So now we'll have some demos over here. Right? We'll try to launch an EC2 instance on the portal, Windows EC2 instance, and I've already launched a Linux instance that also we'll show you. Okay? So just coming in an on-premise environment, right? What are the components that we will check out, right? So if you say that this is my user wants to access an you know web server on my on-premise device, on-premise data center. Okay? So it has to go through internet. How it will go through internet? Via public IP. So I think so. In this course, everybody knows what is public IP, right? Where it is this IP, it can be like 233. For example, I am just talking about. So if I am talking about IP4 address, it can be something like 141 or 233 or 201, something like a public IP that can be accessed over the internet. Okay. So and then it has to go through my firewall where it will check the states, whether it is allowed, whether the traffic is allowed or not. Okay, then it goes to my routers and this thing, and then it reaches my LAN, or it is routed to my LAN and connected to my server, and then I get a response back from the web server. Okay, so in when you say web server, okay, these are exposed to public. So whatever rules that you will say, it will allow or restrict for the web server according to what rules are set. Okay, and this DB is private in nature. So your DB will never have any, will not be directly talking to your. So if you remember the web end tier that we talked about, okay, like user accessing the web goes to the business logic, okay, and then goes to the data tier. Which is, so similarly, we'll be using the same concept, okay, on our AWS thing. So what we'll be doing is that we'll create a VM, okay, we'll be acting as a web server. So for Linux, I am doing this, okay. For the Windows, I will just show you how to launch an instance and everything, and then we will access it through a public IP, okay. And see, I have some contents, some web contents already installed on that server. We'll be see it on over the browser. Just to just that when you talk about when you talk about security groups, and so if like everybody will be aware of TCP and UDP, right? So as a broad level for this course, we'll be talking some known ports of TCP, like 80, like is HTTP. Okay, we'll talk about 443, that is HTTPS. We'll talk about 3389, that is your Microsoft RDP protocol. Okay, we'll talk about 22, that is your SSH protocol. We'll talk about 53, that is your DNS. Okay, and if you want to ping any this thing, we'll have ICMP. So let's now go to the console and start launching our so when you come over here, okay, you can directly on the search this thing, you can always type like EC2. It will go to the service, or you can come to services, okay, and in the compute section you will find EC2. So these are when you say compute section, these are the components available in the compute section, like Lightsail, Lambda, Beanstalk. So now we are focusing on EC2. Okay. So as soon as you come to the EC2, as I told you, I have already launched a Linux instance over here. Okay. So when you come to EC2 dashboards, what you'll find, you will so you'll find what are the instance running, what is the what when we talk about key pairs, right? I talk about public key and private key. This key pairs, as soon I'll show you what is it in the demo. Okay, Then we'll have snapshots because we didn't create any snapshot. I used a volume for that instance, so you can see one. I created some security groups for that volume, and there is no load balancer connected. And what is the number of instances that is hosting is one. Okay. So just know that and when you okay. So when I go to instances or say instance running, okay, it will show me this. So already I have a Linux instance installed. What is the state running, instance type, status, alarm, what for this instance, right? Because now, as of now, we are not touched the VPC part, but it takes a default VPC and default subnet and default this thing. I use the default subnet for this instance. Okay, so if you see the public IP is public DNS and public IP is provided by me because the default gateway is already assigned. When I use default to this thing, everything all the network components are whatever the network components are required to access my this thing are uh, mentioned or implement default by default. So if my instance require an internet access, okay, to download anything or this thing, whenever it is whenever you see this IP, that means that it is allowing you the access to public IP, a public gateway. Okay. So there are some components of VPC that I'll be talking in my next week lectures. So if I select this, okay, so all the detailed summary, I can use the public IP, the public DNS will be there. What is the private IP? That you can see the default private IP has been defined because I use default VPC, and then the instance type. What is the instance type that I will be using? Okay. And so on. So let's try to launch one Windows instance, right? So when you come on this console, you just say launch instance. Now, as I talked about AMI, right? Amazon Machine Image. So what is an Amazon Machine Image? AMI is a template that contains software configuration, and you can select AMI provided by AWS or user community or AWS Marketplace. So any community that has published one and predefined image, OS image that can also be shared in the marketplace. So you will have options like quick start. You will have you can have your own AMIs also. Like you can use the current image. You can install a web server. You can install a database server, and you can save it as your in your name, like my EMI or something like that, and you can publish it. So currently there is no custom VMS. So when you say my email is custom VMS, so I'm going with the public VMS. We have AWS Marketplace over here, and
Sir, 1 minute.
yeah. Tell me.
Sir, here when we are creating our customized AMI, so that AMI will be for our usage, or can be published for publicly? Anybody can use that AMI.
It can be used, but it can be kept private also, or it can be published for public users also.
So if we publish for the public AMI, whether we get any benefit for that, or it's only customized?
So as you know, as you see over here, Amazon Linux, right? What it comes? It comes with many. If you can see that it comes. It's not showing over here, but normally, some images, like if you want predefined image, like you want OS already application installed, many tools installed in it. Okay,
Yes.
similar to your laptop, right? If currently my laptop is installed with many tools, many other things are there, and if I take that
Right.
image, if I take that image and install it in some other laptop, I can get the similar features to any other this thing. So that is a benefit over here.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, if we are publishing the AMI to the public,
Hmm.
so if the public is using that particular AMI, whether we'll get any benefit with that particular AMI which we have customized, or it's for this one.
Yeah, what will be your benefit? It can be used at your this thing, or you can sell it into marketplace. You can earn money on it.
That's what. So if we customize that particular AMI and we can rent it on, or we need to sell that particular AMI.
Now, once you say make it public, right? So
Yes.
so it can be community based this thing also, or you can have some pricing on. So I have a slide on that. Let's continue on this, and then I will come back to you.
Okay. So for to create an AMI, first we need a server, customize everything, then we'll take the image as a snapshot, right?
Not necessary. You're talking about creating a custom EMI, right? Custom AMI.
Yeah.
Okay. Custom
Yes.
AMI, you have to have a particular instance ready, install everything, and then we can. I have a slide for that. I will show you that.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
So everybody knows about 32-bit architecture and 64-bit. Now there is a new term. I think in January itself they came with ARM 64-bit. There is a new type of custom-based processor used by Amazon. Okay? Gravitational this thing is also. It is known as ARM. So right now I'm using x86. Okay, I'll just say select. Okay, just forgot that I have already installed a Linux, so I'll be using Windows over here. So if you see, we have Macintosh. These are just launched in 2021. Okay, earlier it was not Macintosh was not supported. Now it is supporting Macintosh also. Red Hat, SUSE Linux, CentOS. Okay, so you say free tier eligible. I'll go with this. So now next step is what type of like I told you, we have CPUs. So it can be 1 core, 2 core, 4 core, depends on our application, right? So AWS has lots of families, right? You see there are lots of instant families are available over here, like T1, T2, T3, T4, because it depends on your CPU can be storage optimized, it can be compute optimized, it can be graphic optimized, it can be IOPS optimized. Okay, so there are 3 or 4 categories based on which this instant families are located. So for just to go for a free tier, this thing I'll go with T2 Micro, which is very basic. This thing I will have 1 CPU, I'll have 1 GB of memory to it, and this is EAB. What I have used is I'm using EBS backed this thing. So okay, and I will say next configuration details. So now I have to configure the details. So I can select number of instances at a time. Okay, but right now I need only 1 instance, so I'll say 1. Okay, I'll come to the purchase option later. As I showed you, network, I'm using the default VPC over here because I don't have any custom VPC right now created. So I'm just I'm just selected a default VPC, and with default you will have your default subnets and this thing. So if you before doing this, right, you should also be aware which region you are hosting your this thing. So I'm using North Virginia for all my labs because all the latest features can be available in North. But you can when you do it, you can use any of the regions like Mumbai region, local region, or something like that. Okay. So when you say subnets, you can see you can select which availability zone you want. Right now I'm having no preference, so it will automatically by default access it. But you can also when you are using any custom this thing, if you want your web server to a particular availability zone and your database into some other availability zone, you can do that also. Okay, so I am keeping everything as default, no changes as of now. Okay, and then say next, add storage. And this is my root volume. Okay, so because it's an EBS backed, okay, volume will be created. Okay, so you can say free tier eligible for up to 30 GB of general purpose SSD. Okay, so this, if you see over your volume type, so as I told you, right, your EBS can be general purpose, it can be provisioned IOPS, okay, or it can be a magnetic. I think so. Now they don't have an option for your SSD part, so everything is SSD. Okay? But it can be GB2, IO1, IOPS, or general purpose. So I'm using for general purpose this thing. So it can vary up to the baseline of 3 IOPS, minimum of 100 IOPS, burstable to 3000 IOPS. Okay. Here in my previous this thing, right, I deselected this. If you want the volume, okay, you have to deselect it, delete on termination, because I have already done it in Linux. I'll show you on that. So I am just selecting this. So when I terminate this instance, it will delete the volume also. And you can encrypt. By default, it's not encrypted, but you can say you can have your encryption alias to encrypt it. Then say next tags. I'll say add tag. Whenever you tagging means, you know, giving a labels to your instance, right? So so here I say Windows, I say name as this thing, because it works as a key value pair. So Windows demo, okay, and I say add tag. Okay, here I can say environment. You can say demo. So next configuration. So if you see, I have already I have created Linux SG, and this was some security group created earlier, but I'll create a new one. Okay. So what is a security group? Is a set of firewall rules that control traffic for instance. When you talk about instance, it is security group. Okay. So so here I will say it will say what what this thing is required, what access is required. I'll say RDP is required for this. I'll give a name to this. I'll say Windows demo SG. Okay, I can say okay. I can select and say HTTP. Okay. So if you see over here, as soon as I say HTTP, the port range is already there. Because because it is custom, and we don't have currently. What will happen is if you require to limit it to minimum users, you have to provide the range over here. 00 means the wildcard, means anywhere this instance can be accessed. Anybody can access this. When this is, if you give this, means anybody can access this particular instance. Okay, and say review launch. Okay, so what is it? Just you can review what is it launching. So it is launching a server 2019 instance, right? And I say launch. So now my first step was security group. Now key pair. Key pair, a key pair consists of a public key that's AWS stores, and a private key that you store. Together, they allow you to connect your instance securely. So this is whenever you connect either through VPN or through web, or you are accessing any public public server or public instance. Okay, these things are very important, public key and private key. So I'll say I'll create a new Windows. So Windows private key. And once you do that, you don't forget to download this key, or you will have access problems, right? I'll just say I have downloaded that key. It is in my download folder right now. You can save it in a safe location and say launch instance. Okay. So you can see when you say view instances, now you have this, right? So just wait for this status check to come in, because it takes a little bit of time to to install the to run this thing. So if you want to access it, you have to wait for this. Just now it's a running. Okay. I don't know why it didn't take the name, but you can say Windows demo, giving the name to that particular instance. Okay. Now the way to connect Linux instance is different, because I have to use an SSH terminal. Okay, because I can connect to a Linux or a Unix instance, okay, or a CentOS instance through through SSH. Okay, so I require a terminal for that. That is known as PuTTY. Okay, for Windows to connect to that particular thing, I may require a remote desktop on this. So you can say, if I say MSTSC, because I am using Windows 7, okay, in my laptop, but anybody using Windows 10, you can use RDP, or you can try MS. So you can have this remote desktop. So now I can select and say action. I've selected that particular action and say, you can see, you can have that what actions can be. You can check the instance settings, networking, security. So here I will say connect. Yes. Just a second. I'm okay. So let's see instance. You can say stop instance, reboot instance, and this thing. I can use connect all from here also. So it says this thing, and I say RDP client. Okay, I can download this file, or you can say get the password. It's better. I will use. I say. I use that file. You can also say get password. So and you say. So now as I have that key pair, right? So I'll just go to my download folder over here. I'll save these both files in a. So save it in a save location for future use, and you can use this simplify for other instances also, depending on what permissions or access permissions that you require. I'll just say demo. I'll say keepers and I'll say paste over here. Okay. So going back to my instance, I'll say browse. I've already I'll go to that particular folder. Select this. So you can see my private key key has been, so it's an RSA key, okay, RSA private key, and I say decrypt password. As soon as I say decrypt password, I get the password over here. So I can just copy, I can just select this. Okay. And say open. Right. You can say administrator. It is already showing you, okay, what is this thing, and I say I paste the password. Say yes, the certificate is there. And you see I am connected to my VM, Windows VM. You see, my screen is visible, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if you can see here, I'm connected to my Windows VM. Okay. Here, when you, I'll show the web this thing on Linux platform. Okay. But when you want to use this Windows machine as a web server, you have to enable IIS, Internet IIS. Okay. So I'll just close this for a while now. Similarly, what I have done is, similarly, what I have done is I have already used, yeah, I have already launched an Linux instance. I've got the password, the public IP over here. Okay, and I've configured, I've enabled the web server on this. So if I can just say copy this and I try to paste it, the contents. Okay, I'll have to. Okay, you can see that session is running, and you can see the contents of that web. Hi guys, welcome to day 4, session 2, AWS session. That this is what I set. So how to connect this? Okay, I just copy this. Okay, and you have to save that the key pair. Okay, so when you talk about Linux, right, it stores it as pem file. If you see over here, the key pairs. So when I save that file, it stores as a pem file. Now to access this particular thing, right? I just have to copy the public IP. Okay, and I'll be using a terminal called putty. So normally what happens is that as you checked out that for RDP, I had to decrypt the password. Okay. Similarly, I have to do on to access this, I have to do some steps. So I have to. So I've downloaded a terminal called. I've downloaded two tools. One is puttygen.exe and one is putty.exe. Okay. So first thing, what because it uses PPK files. Okay. This terminal uses PPK files. So as it is a PM file, I have to create, I have to save that file into I have to convert that file into PPK. So I will using putty generator. Okay. I'll say load because I have already saved it. And say all files. I'll select I'll say PEM. Okay, open. Okay. And you can have a either you can have this default or you can have key phrase also. Just additional password also can be done. Then you can save that this as a yes. You have to come over here, say save private key. Say yes. Okay, I'll say the same. This thing. Be sure that you use the private key over. Give a logical name to it, so you come to know what. Because whatever you download is a private key, because your public key is stored with AWS. But is it better to give a logical name to it? Okay. Now I have saved this, and what type of we have is an RSA file. Okay, I'll just close this. Okay. I will go to putty. Now, before doing this, right? For Linux, right? What you have to give user an instance will have an username. If you have seen in, when I selected the this thing the Windows machine, it gave me a name EC2 dash user and then the IP address and so on. So to connect a Linux machine, these are the usernames you have to use. Right? EC2 user. For CentOS, it is CentOS. For Debian, it is admin. For Fedora, it is EC2 user. For RHEL, it is EC2 user or root. Okay. For SUSE AMI, it is EC2 user root. For Ubuntu, it is Ubuntu. So because I am using Linux 2, I'll use EC2 user. So I just open the putty terminal. First thing, I'll go to SSH. I'll select an auth. I'll say browse and locate the private file. Okay. Once it is done, I'll come over here. Go to sessions. I'll say ec2 user @ and I'll post the public IP copied from the instance. Okay. Which port I will select is 22. I'm gonna say open. You see my EC2. My this thing is my this thing is my I can access my Linux access. Okay. So just to give you whenever when you have to access this, right? It doesn't give you direct access to root. So anything you want to do, you have to use sudo. But right now, I will say you can say sudo. You can say sudo root pass wd. That will change your root password. Okay, I can change my password. I will say okay. I will say suroot. Please mute yourself. Please mute yourself. Again, do that. Okay, and then su. So now I'm accessing, this thing. So if I say yum, if I say yum update, it's a because previously I did use this command to have the latest patches to this server. Okay, and if I say, if I go to this folder and say ls, okay, I have this. And if I say this, you can see I have pasted this thing over here. Okay. And what web server this it uses an Apache web server. Linux uses an Apache web server. So if you see what is the status of the server, it's running. You can stop it also, but now it is studying. So similar exercise, you see where how I did it. Okay. This is what I performed. It's available in your book. So you don't have to wait. You don't have to have screenshots or this thing, because everything in the book I have created some whatever I've did. I've created a screenshot for that. Okay. You just have to match whether you are able to do it successfully or no. Anyway, I think so. Somebody is. Can you mute yourself? Some user is.
Can you mute?
So if you have gone to this book, okay, so you will come to know. So we have to for the two demos that we have give. I think so. Somebody asked me regarding the custom VMI, right? So you see, you have paravirtual and hardware virtual machine. This thing. So we have AWS Marketplace. So there are lots of hosted VMs or hosted services provided for this in the AWS Marketplace. Some are community based, or some are charged. So what types of community emails can be? You have lots of. You have Linux, CentOS, Debian, Fedora, Red Hat. You have Macintosh also. You have Windows architectures, 32-bit and 64-bit. So we talked about standard AMI and customized AMI. Okay. So using an existing AMI, launch instance, customize it, create a new AMI from it. So this is the steps that you have to follow. First you have to have an existing instance. Okay. And then launch this instance, then create that image of that instance. Okay. And then launch an instance for your AMI. So your AMI can be kept private. It can be specific AWS accounts, or it can make public. You can deregister your AMI also. Okay. So where on the console, where can you do this? So just to before I go to that, let's check. One thing is that we have the instance running, right? Now be sure until your system is running, you are chargeable. Right now I'm using on-demand this thing. So you know, uh, it's an per second pricing will be there. So until it is running, it will charge you. For free tier, there are some this thing, some hours been given. Okay, until your credit goes over, you will not be charged much. But once it is over, it will be per second billing charging. So it will what the charges will be based on the compute, the instance running, okay, the volume. So if you come to just scroll down, you say Elastic Block Store, and you say volumes. You can see these volumes, right? So until this is available over here, whether your now if I say, if I try to, what I'll do is I'll try to, okay, I'll try to, I'll say instance, I'll select this instance, I'll say stop instance, or I can say terminate instance. So once you say terminate instance, it will terminate. Now if you see that my Windows, I didn't create any particular volume to it, but for Linux I have done it. Okay. So this is shutting down. Okay. So if you say it takes a while, you can always use F5 to check. Okay. So it says terminated. So whenever you do this practice, you clear your instances. You always check where on which region you have selected this thing. Always whenever you launch an instance, you do your practice, terminate it. Yeah, whenever you want it, you create a new one. Okay, you terminate it. I'm telling you when you practice it. Okay, not in your production environment, but when you practice it, because it will unnecessarily, you don't want charges in your billing dashboard, right? So similarly I will terminate this also, because I'm using it, right? So, okay, this. Straight, you can say terminate instance. So terminate. Now if I go to the volumes, you see the Windows volumes is gone by default. As soon as I terminated, because I selected delete on termination. But now for in Linux, I didn't do that. I deselected it. So the volume stays back. So be careful whenever, if you are not using that particular volume. I always use F5 so that you see this thing. You have to refresh. It is all web, right? So you have to refresh this thing. So if you see over here again, it is still there. So what I'll do, I'll just select this and say actions, and I will see. I can create a snapshot of this. If I say create a snapshot, it will ask me what the description is required. Okay, and I can add a tag to it. I can always copy the KMS file for the encryption part and say create snapshot. So I can have a backup of that. Okay. So this I can say action. I'm deleting right now because I don't want to have unwanted mistake. So it's gone. So apart from this, it uses VPC, right? It used. I created and I'll be providing. I have a 2 or 3 sessions on this. Okay, this is a very important part. Okay. But to check, whenever you have any instance on a particular this thing, you will have those default subnets available with you. Default subnets that you will have internet gateways who already attached to the default VPC. So when I say default VPC, it uses all these components in the backend. Am I clear?
Yes, sir. It's clear.
So just so we talked about EBS and we talked about so EBS is a block storage, elastic block storage, and EFS is elastic file storage. So EBS logical volumes can be used. Okay, volume and instance must be your volume and instance must be in the same availability zone. That is very important. Okay, it cannot be your volume will be in some another availability zone and your instance will be, because it has to read the master boot record, right? So it has to be in the same availability zone. Yeah, and a lifetime of is not dependent on the instance persistent in nature. Okay, and instance can be attached n number of volumes, and a particular instance can have n number of volumes. Okay, so we have just focus. We talked about snapshots. Okay, so snapshots are fully supported. Supports EBS encryption. To take a snapshot of root for instance, stop the instance and take a snapshot of data integrity. So whenever you take a snapshot, it's better to stop the instance and take the snapshot. So while running, you don't miss any transaction or the other part. It's better to stop the instance and take the snapshot. So when we talk about what are the families, we talked about general purpose, compute optimized, memory optimized, storage optimized, and accelerator optimized. So these are the families. So why I can use T2 for small, medium, and data web servers, where I can use M5 like low, medium when it's a general purpose for database and web and this thing, and A1 application and ARM ecosystem. This is a custom built. This thing is there. Okay. So so this AWS always keep on innovating the processor family. So every year you will find 1 or 2 family names are changed or this thing. So you have to keep updated accordingly. Okay. So where compute optimized is a CPU intensive database, web servers, applications. The C families are there. And then we have M families. You have R and X. So memory intensive, used for memory intensive databases, web servers, applications, and servers. X1 are optimized for large scale enterprise class. So whatever business requirement is there regarding to whether it is whether your application requires compute power more, you can go for compute optimized. You can go for compute optimized family. If it requires memory optimized, you have to go for memory optimized this thing. If it requires lots of storage, this thing, go for an storage optimized this thing. And if you require GPU of creating an avatar movie or something like that, okay, rendering and other graphic, lots of graphic intensive processing, go for an accelerated computing. So these are the families over here. So when you talk about pricing, right, I'll just have 10 minutes more. Yeah. When you talk about pricing, we have on-demand pricing, that's pay by second of the instance that you launch. We have reserve instances, purchase at a significant discount, instances that are always available for a term from 1 to 3 years. So this is on-demand pricing. You can reserve the instances for a contract for 1 to 3 years. You can schedule an instance, purchase instances that are always available on the specified recurring schedule for a one year term. If you have checked spot instance, right? I have in EC2 this thing you will have spot instance. This is when you want a very low compute cost. Okay, because in any cloud environment, whether it is Microsoft or whether it is AWS, these all these servers, either it can be a shared tenant where many customers can share that particular hardware, this thing, and your VMs, particular VMs can be located on a shared environment, shared physical hardware, or it can be a dedicated physical tenant. Okay, when we say tenant, it is as well as customer accessing. As I'm a customer, I'll have a dedicated tenant, or I can use a shared tenancy. Okay, so and that particular this thing is because we have lots of hardware in the AWS data center racks. Okay, so there may be some EC2 unused EC2 instance. So for particular like I'm running an OTT platform. Okay, so I have to do video streaming. I have to do a lot of video streaming on this part. I will require some part of temporary compute instances, or maybe temporary instances for that part. Okay, so I can go for with spot instance. So how spot instance work is, I have to bid for the unused this thing. So there will be a market value will be there. Okay, I can use my bid. So if I say $10 for a particular time, I say $10. I'm bidding this, and if I win that bid, I can use the those instances for 90% of this thing, 90% of discount. Okay. So when you say reserve engine, you will get a 70%. When you reserve a contract, you can get 70 to 75% discount. You will not have any discounts on on-demand instances. So, but but the problem with spot instances is that as soon as somebody other bids higher than you, okay, it will interrupt. Those instances will be given to that particular customer, and you will have an interruption to your resources. So this is only when you used when you require any temporary requirements of this thing like video streaming and other parts. Okay? You have then dedicated hosts, like pay for physical host that I told you, that we talked about, fully dedicated, and dedicated instance and capacity reserves. Okay? You can say on-demand instances used to prepare the low cost and flexibility of Amazon without any upfront of. So you don't require any long-term commitment. If you want, like we did right now, right? We didn't do any commitment. Is that we have to launch it and that's it. Then we have spot instances that I just spoke about. So spots only recommended for applications that have flexible start and end times, users and urgent computing needs of large amounts. We have reserve instances. So for reserve instances, you can get up to 75% of discount compared to on-demand pricing. Dedicated hosts, okay, and you have per second billing and so on. So this, I'm just ending. So I will be continuing this some part of compute tomorrow. Okay. So hope today's, because we did lots of whiteboarding and lots of hands-on. So it was, hope you have liked this session. So anybody want to check that IAM part? Okay, just I can wait for 5 minutes and do it, or I can just remind me tomorrow. I can show it to you. Accessing IAM part, or shall we close for the day? Okay, just go. I forget. So I'll be posting an assignment. Okay. For this. Okay, and it's already in the book. The book, you have to refer the book for this. Okay, page number 24 to 26, and this is section 4. These are the things that you have to do in your assignment. So this is assignment number 2 that you have to do this. You can always check the complete section, but this is the minimum that you have to do. So I'll be posting this on the WhatsApp group. So that's I'm closing for the day. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.